Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shrutis. Om Bhadram Karne Vishnuryama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshaviryajatraha Sthirairangai Estasthavagum Sastanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vruddhashavaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedhaha Swasti na Starksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अविद्यायामन्तरे वर्तमानाः स्वयं धीराः पंडितं मन्यमानाः। अविद्यायामन्तरे वर्तमानाः स्वयं धीराः पंडितं मन्यमानाः। जङ्घन्यमानाः पर्यन्ति मूढाः अन्धेनैव नीयमाना यथान्धाः। जङ्घन्यमानाः पर्यन्ति मूढाः अन्धेनैव नीयमाना यथान्धाः। अविद्यायां बहुधा वर्तमानाः स्वयं वयं कृतार्थाः वयं कृतार्था इत्यभिमन्यन्ति बालाः। यत्कर्मिणो न प्रवेदयन्ति रागात् तेनातुरा क्षीणलोकाश्च्यवन्ते। यत्कर्मिणो न प्रवेदयन्ति रागात् तेनातुरा क्षीणलोकाश्च्यवन्ते। Last time we saw avidyamantare vartamanaha. You know, antare means madhe, avid or deep. They are steeped in ignorance, very deep in darkness. Literal translation would be. In our culture, darkness is a symbol for ignorance, and the light symbolizes the knowledge. I have discussed this earlier also. In darkness, you miss the thing, even if it is in front of you. In darkness, there is a bhayam, fear. In darkness, you get hurt yourself if you move around. So also, an ignorant person will miss the thing even if it is available to him or her. If you don't see the truth, Even though it may be obvious, you just miss it. Exactly like in childhood, we used to have this puzzle. They give you two pictures and say, find out six differences between the two. The differences are obvious. It is right in front of you. But because of ignorance, you miss it. That is darkness. And there is a dukkham in life because of ignorance only. That is what it is being discussed. So, avidyam madhye antare means in ignorance, steeped in ignorance. And as we said yesterday, ignorance means that is not simply not knowing a thing, knowing the thing to be otherwise. Non-apprehension and there is misapprehension. There is ignorance and there is an error. Regarding what? Regarding myself. Regarding you. You, that is Satchidananda, is taken as mortal. You, that is limitless, that is taken as limited. You, that is nothing but happiness, is taken as dukhi. Not simply dukhi, mahadukhi. Nobody is dukhier than me, more unhappy than me. That's what each one of us think, you know. And some people come and tell me, Swami ji, you don't know how much I am suffering. I don't want to know also. Because if you narrate your dukkham out of empathy, I will become dukhi. Why should I invite trouble in my life when I am already happy being what am I? So this is Swamiji, તમને કાંઈ ખબર નથી મારા માથે હું દુઃખ છે. કહેવાનું મન તો રહેવા દે ને તારા માથે આપણે ન જોવું. The point is, this is how people think I am most dukhi. Anyway, that's an error. Avidyam, what is an error? And why am I dukhi? As I said last time, the fundamental confusion, there is a confusion in confusion. Okay? The fundamental confusion is I am karta, I am doer. Aham bhokta, I am enjoyer. So when I become a karta and bhokta who is limited by nature, I accrue upon karma and karma phalas and therefore continue to be desires and cycle, unlimitless cycle. Now, avidyayam antare vartamanaha, there is a non-apprehension caused misapprehension. They are in that state, take themselves to be karta bhokta, that is samsari. Please note, what is the definition of samsari? Getting married is not becoming samsari. Having a house is not samsara. Having children is not samsara. Samsara, the world is not even samsara. World gets converted into samsara if you are a samsari. Who is samsari? One who takes upon himself or herself as karta and bhokta. To see myself as a doer, enjoyer is a samsari. That samsari is talked about. Avidyayam antare vartamanaha. They are steeped in samsara. Means there is a confounded samsari in them. They have concluded so strongly themselves to be karta bhokta, that is called steeped in samsara. Okay? Then he says, Swayam dhiraha panditam manyamana. See, that means ignorant. Everybody is ignorant. You are born ignorant. Ignorance is sahajam. Janmana sahajayate iti sahajam. You are born ignorant. So what's wrong in it? To be ignorant is one thing, but to consider oneself wise is quite another thing. Avidyayam antare vartamana. They think I am wise. Panditam manyamana. Manyamana. Not that others tell them that you are wise. They take upon themselves as otherwise wise. In other words, the attitude of holier than thou. I am wiser than you. I know what the world is, what the truth is, what the essence is, what the goal is. All kind of confusion they have about themselves, okay? And about the things also, okay? They have, it is like, as I said, you have to wake up a person who is not sleeping but pretending to be sleeping. One who is actually sleeping can be woken up. But one who is pretending himself or herself as a sleeping person can never be woken up. They have all confusions about the means and the end and the goal. You know, I'll tell you my experience. This is 21. About 42 years ago, I decided to leave the home and pursue this study. So I was a good prospective groom those days. So-called settled groom. Settled means financially settled and good looking and good family background and all that. So I declared the mistake I made. I told in the family, and then it's word spread that I am going after 1.5 months to ashram and all that. And those elders often called me. Hey, I heard that you are going. I said, and a typical statement was, hey, you're to Baba Bani Jawan. This is typical Gujarati. Hey, you are going to become a sannyasi. We have heard that. They say you are going to be a sannyasi. Baba Bani Jawan. Then I would say, no, I am going for study. I said, where are you going? I said, I'll go this way. And why? I said, I heard. It just took me a few days to decide that I want to study. And to actualize the decision took me 1 or 1.5 year process to wind up. So, and to get an opportunity for the study. So I said, I had heard this Swamiji and I found it, I should study. Interesting, and I found it I would be incomplete without the study. So I am going, and arguments will come, and I politely will answer. And I kept on telling, I'm going for study. As of now, I have not decided to take sannyasa, but maybe, I don't know. I'm open. It was like, like a Western American, I took a break. Or our Indian language is sabbatical, I took sabbatical leave for 3 years and then from the family and then went. And the typical Guju answer was, Ame tara karta vadhare Diwali chodi. We have seen more Diwalis than you. That means we have more experience than you. And I told a couple of them. They were very aggressive. So I was a little irritated. So I told, તમે દિવાળીઓ જોઈ હશે ફટાકડા મેં વધારે ફોડ્યા છે. I said, you might have seen more Diwalis, but I have burnt more crackers than you. So don't advise me what to do. Let me explore it, okay? Forget it. That is called Panditam Manyama. See, nobody knows. Look at this irony. See, the Maya is not anywhere else. See, they say Maya is in woman or man. This is Maya. Everybody thinks what is spirituality. Nobody knows that spiritual life means you have to study the Shastra. And some of them had questioned, what is there to study? Gita ji. Just to justify their argument, I said, I'm going to study Vedanta. Then what's Vedanta? I said, Gita and Upanishad. What is there to study in Gita ji? You can read at home. Translations are available. Gandhiji's commentary is good. Vinoba's commentary is good. This is Panditam Manyamana. They have not read it. Even Gandhiji's commentary on Gita or Vinoba's commentary on Gita, they have not read it, but they think they know what is inside it, and they think that by studying them you can study whole Gita, and they think Gita is need not be studied from a teacher. You need not take to life of a sannyasa or life of exclusive commitment to Shastra. You need not necessary. Panditam Manyamana. They consider themselves to be wise. They have very high opinion about themselves. Not only with respect to spirituality, with respect to their worldly achievements. They might have succeeded in earning some money. They might have succeeded in getting some name and fame in the society, recognition in the society. They might have succeeded in gaining some power, position in the society. They think we are the achievers. I have seen this quite often, the body language of some of the politicians, some of these bureaucrats. Until they know me, they get punctured suddenly. But then they talk, the way they talk, the way they behave, we are achievers and looking down upon others. That is Panditam. In other words, you can say Manitva. They think they demand respect from others. They think that we deserve respect. Another person must give me the respect. It is called Panditam Manyamanaha. And Shankaracharya ji gives another interpretation. Panditaha Vidita Veditavyascha. Veditavyam. What is to be known? Vidita Veditavyaha. Those who think we have known what is to be known, what is worthy to be known. We know that. In other words, they think what they know is the thing to be known. You should see these pep talks, coffee table talks, club meeting talks, or office colleagues or these workshop people meeting talks. They talk of the fashions or sometimes the movies and sometimes the clothing and sometimes the tour, and they think we know the best. They want to show their knowledge. Yeah, I had been to this place. Okay, I don't like. That is good. That is good. I had been to this hotel. I had been to this shopping mall, etc., etc. They think this is all things to be known. Vidita veditavyaha panditaha iti manyamana atmanam sambhavayante. They think too high and they demand respect from others. And what do they know? They know only one thing, that action is a means for achieving the end. Karma avidyaya mantare vartamanaha means what? Karma faleshu nirataha. They are committed to, they are steeped into karma and karma phala, doing certain actions and gaining some results. They might have analyzed some shastra, they might have heard something here about the scripture, but then they think we know the better. And what is Panditam Manyamanaha? Mudaha. Mudaha and Panditam Manyamanaha. They are so committed to their belief. Whatever they believe in, they think this is the ultimate thing. And mudaha means non-open to listening, not open to any kind of communication, as though there is a wall, like this Israel, this iron ball or what they have called. When these Palestinians settle these missiles, they have iron wall or iron ball, they call it. It senses that missile is coming. Within a short time, it calculates the time and it hits the missile in the sky itself. So before you tell them something, they want to pin you down. They does not want to listen. That is mudaha. Doesn't know that I am muda. He thinks I am the right. That is a problem. These all so-called sampradaya fellows, so-called theologians, they think we know everything. And this is what I know is the truth. And what I talk is the truth. You know? So they have a set of beliefs and their own creation. Exactly like nowadays, I received one SMS, one message WhatsApp about Gita ji. I received it 3 to 4 times in this last 1 week from different people. And then that message shows, that for all the problems, that there is a finding solution for all your problems in Bhagavad Gita. That itself is a mistake. Puja Swamiji very rightly say. Even Gandhiji used to say that whenever I have a problem, I open Gita and find the solution. It's wrong to say. Gita doesn't address a topical problem, an issue in a life. They keep changing. As the time advances, the social, cultural, technological changes takes place, you face different kinds of problems. And you have to address. They are not answered in Gita, all the problems. Like how to stop the spam mail. It is not there in Bhagavad Gita anyway. How to block the unknown group fellows. That is not there in Bhagavad Gita. Gita answers the problem, fundamental problem of sense of lack, sense of being limited. And now they say, I have a solution in all the problems. And what are the problems? It's so surprising. It's a very beautifully prepared table. Anger, types of the problem. Anger, depression, greed, demotivated if you feel, how to practice forgiveness, if there is a confusion, if there is a discrimination, if there is a laziness, if you have pride, if the mind is uncontrolled, if there is envy, there is a fear, loneliness, seeking, if you seek peace, if there is a lust, if there is a death of loved ones, if you feel sinful, if you lose hope, there is temptation, if there is forgetfulness, and few other things. And for each problem, he has given a verse. I said, if this is true, you don't need psychotherapist because all psychological problems are talking about. So if you have a fear, chant the philosophy. Look at this verse in the 4th chapter and the chapter 11 and chapter 18. If you have laziness, then chapter 3 and chapter 6 and chapter 18. Bhagavan, even Jesus cannot save this fellow. Bhagavan only can save. Then this fellow sent me, and he thought that this is the glorification of Bhagavad Gita. He's a political fellow, MLA. So he sent me this, and Swamiji, look at our greatness of our Gita. I said, this is bogus. Forget it. Don't talk about this to me. He says, no. This can be true. He answered me. They even just don't know. Then I said to him, I just wrote 3 sentences and then he said, Pranam, thank you. I said, whatever is Veda Sammatam, approved with the Veda, or that what is in concomitance to Veda, what is approved by Rishis, and what is approved by our Parampara, Guru Shishya Parampara. That alone can be truth, at least for Bhagavad Gita, or for any Hindu thing. Otherwise, this is a spiritual war market, Walmart. So many products are available. You can't go by this. This fellow acknowledged and apologized. But the other guy said, no, Swamiji, I have tried. What to tell this? I said, great. Wish you good luck. I can't say anything. Muda. So, Panditam Manyamanaha Muda. They think they are the wisest people in the earth, and they think that what they know is the truth. You know, if one is ignorant and if he or she is open to knowledge, it's a blessing. That's not a problem. But if being ignorant and you are not open, forget about knowledge to communicate, is worse than a crime, worse crime. Because intellect is given to us to think, and incapacity to rethink, that is our sin. It is meant to think, and you block it because of your notions and prejudices and conclusions and wrong conclusions. That is worse than any sin. But they think we are the wisest of all this. And then they talk of this, and what happens to them? The worst thing it is, Janghanyamana pariyanti mudaha. You know, Janghanyamana. Constantly afflicted, repeatedly afflicted. This is a present participle. Janghanyamana. They are constantly afflicted by what? Sorrow. By what? Pain. By what? Agony. All kinds of emotional issues. And disease and health. Pariyanti mudaha, janghanyamanaha, pariyanti paritahayanti. They constantly travel, they wander endlessly. You know, Shankaracharya ji says, janghanyamanaha means jara rogadi aneka anartha vrataihi hanyamanaha brusham pidyamanaha. You know, by old age, by death, by disease, etc. They are afflicted, constantly afflicted by this kind of things, one or other, and they keep fleeting from one birth to another birth, from one situation to another situation, from one achievement to another achievement. They think this will be the ultimate. They think my all problems will be solved if I go there. If I have a new job, if I have a new car, if I have a new house, if I have a new relationship, if I have a new connections, whatever they think. But then they also after some time find more problems. And this cycle of birth and death, due to their karmas, past karmas, sanchit karmas, they continue to gain various bodies. Even if they perform religious actions, even if they perform good deeds, but then they don't know the delusion about the self. Since they take themselves to be karta, bhokta, they take themselves to be doer, enjoyer, they become responsible for karma phalas, and that being endless, the cycle of birth and death, what we call it samsara chakra, continues endless. And then that is also not so bad, but now they are like icing the cake. Andhe naiva niyamana yathanda. Such people are like the blind who are led by another blind. Whole samsara is like that. Not samsara, but every samsara is like that. Because every samsari has some ideal person. There is always a Shrestha in mind. Yadya acharate Shrestha tattadeve tarojana. A human mind is a hero worshipper. There is one hero in the mind. If in a particular business, successful businessman of my field, in politics, successful politician of my field, if he's a professional doctor or consultant or IT expert or something, there is an ideal. Their values become his or her values. That fellow himself is ignorant. And this fellow is equally ignorant. So each one is blind. And this blind has another ideal, as a blind, another fellow who is an ideal for him, Shrestha. That he himself is a blind. Because that also is a karta bhokta. That fellow also thinks by changing the situation externally or gaining some position, etc., I'll be happier forever. That's not true. And then they are led by blind, a blind led by the blind. What happens? That means they will never reach the destination. As I mentioned last time, there will be commas and semicolons in their life, in the sentence of life, but no full stop. That means sentence will never come to an end. Sentence has another meaning in our English also. He was sentenced to jail, sentenced to 10 years of imprisonment. Sentence doesn't come to end. The sentence is what? I am dukhi. Never comes to end. Maybe very intelligent, maybe very religious, maybe highly committed to certain values. That's fine. We appreciate. We'll discuss that thing in the next mantra further. But then, lack of clarity about the means and the end. Lack of clarity about what exactly I am seeking. They have not discerned the fundamental problem. A given problem is, as of now, a given problem is looked upon as the problem. Having solved a given problem, for some time there is a peace. Sometimes there is a sense of being at home with myself. Then there is another problem. That becomes the problem, and that's how the cycle goes. And that period for which sometimes I felt myself at home, these are the commas and semicolons. Discerning the fact that I seek total happiness. I want limitless happiness. And that is not achieved by any of such achievement, that is not understood. That is called andhe naiva niyamana yathanda. Here the word andha means lack of clarity about the goal of life. Incapacity or inability to discern the fundamental problem. And if at all there is discerned, something is there, even a vicarious feeling, vague feeling that I am missing, that I am not comfortable, let me look for something else. But they don't know what is the means for this particular end. What is the proper means to feel at home with myself? Shastra study, exposure to Shastra, and thereby discovering myself is the solution. As Puja Swami used to say, and he had given those days three or four talks on the topic. You are the problem and you are the solution. To discern, for the first step is to discern that I am the problem. mean the problem is centered on I. I as an individual, that I feels unhappy. I is unhappy. It is not that I am unhappy because of something. I by nature feel that I am unhappy. That's the problem. You are the solution. You are not unhappy. You are Ananda. You are Purna. That is to be discussed. If that is the case, how come I don't know? Oh, that is called ignorance. And if I don't know, what do I do? That is a knowledge. Ignorance cannot go by any other thing. You have to go to a competent teacher and study the Shastra and gain the knowledge and be free. You are the problem and you are the solution. That is not deserved. That is called Andhe Naiva Niyamana Yathanda. A blind leading another blind. They themselves have a wrong kind of value system and they follow those value system and they hold on to those value system, not knowing the limitations. They have to restructure their goal, restructure their means, their attitudes, their knowledge, everything. But they don't see that. And they think this is the correct. That is called Andhena Iva Niyamana. And when you see all this religion, when I go to this of late for last 2 years because of COVID, I have not traveled. Otherwise, every year I have one or two, some international minimum 2-3 conferences to attend abroad. And all these religious heads will come and say, we believe in only one God. That everybody says so. But then when the joint statement is to be issued, other day I said, let us all of us say, we all believe in one God only. And let us define that one God. That nobody is willing to do that. If all of you individually say we believe in one God, there has to be only one God, and let us talk about that. That they are not willing to say. The problem is my God is only one God and your God is not one God. If there is only one God, where is your God and my God? I have a question. Oh my God, there are two gods. If it is one God, you say, I believe in my one God, we believe in one God only, and your God is not God. Then I say, oh my God, does he have a God? If you say there is only one God, where is another God to be dismissed? There is no other God. And it is so illogical. See, understand? Swamiji used to very nicely say, there are two types of belief, verifiable and non-verifiable. Which, like we also believe, when we are told, okay, you do this karma, there are two types of sadhana sadhyas. The known sadhanas and known sadhya, and unknown sadhanas and unknown sadhya. Like you do some exercise and it helps you this way, your heart or something, yogasana, or you eat this food and it helps your cholesterol, blah, blah, blah. You start with the belief. There is a known means, but they say you do this yajna and this problem will be solved. You start with the belief. So they're verifiable. But going to heaven, that there is a heaven and I'll go to heaven, and this is a non-verifiable belief. But then either of them, see what we call in our vernacular language, that belief is Shraddha. What is Andhashraddha? You know, Andhashraddha. Andhashraddha means you believe which is illogical. You can say the belief which is like fairy tale. That is illogical. How can you believe in this? We don't believe in rebirth. Okay. But faithfuls will go to heaven. How can it possible? If you are not believing rebirth, and faithful will go to heaven if you say, that means faithful should go as he or she is now. No, he or you will go to heaven after death. This is absolutely illogical. You say you don't believe in rebirth, one sentence, and you say the faithful will go to heaven after death. So where is the person? It's the rebirth. And that too when, look at the illogicity of this whole stupid, these statements. When they will go, when on the day of judgment, Qayamat ke din Allah dekhega. There God will call Jesus, call upon Jesus, it will be a court, and Jesus will be the only lawyer, and Jesus will say, "Oh Father, this was Ramesh, became John, faithful. Okay, granted visa forever. This was Kanta, she never became Katrina or whatever, and so continued to be Hindu, hell, full stop." That means the faith or belief becomes a criteria for going to heaven or hell, not your karmas. All the three Abrahamic religions have this basis. Therefore, it's not necessary to live a life of dharma or ethics. And if at all you make mistake, go and what? Go to Father and confess it, full stop. At least that much they have to create a guilt. The other fellows don't have anything. Need not go to mosque and tell. Keep committing crime of killing and raping, and still Allah, because you are faithful, Allah will take you to heaven. This is illogical. And if you are to go on when the day of judgment will come, only God knows. My question is, what happens to the individual till then? The fellow is buried. Now, at least in modern times, with little science, an 8th grade child can understand. The entire body will be dissolved in Mother Earth. There will be nothing left in the burial. And if at all left something, the new one comes and they gives more money, the fellow will dig him out, throw the bones for the dogs outside and put another guy. Well, how can you go to heaven? This is called illogical belief. Correct? Understand? This is called andhashraddha. This is called andhe naiva niyamana yathanda. And the irony is, it's so painful when it comes to, this is a modern problem. And that unfortunately has come to Hindus also. It really pains me when I see Hindu society suffering like this. We were very honest. We had cognitive honesty. The society as a whole. We had vadas. People used to discuss. Famously Shankaracharya and Mandan Mishra Vada. And they were ready to change. The Shankaracharya ji brought back the whole Bharat Varsha, was converted to Buddhism, back to Hindu Dharma, just by discussing, just by communicating. So twofold, I am open to listen and open to understand. That is first level of intellectual or cognitive honesty. And secondly, having understood in the light of new knowledge, willingness to shed my notions or my mistakes or my errors and adopt to the new wisdom. That is intellectual honesty. We had this. Whole country had this. And now when I meet these devotees and the gurus, you just can't utter a word. They are so judgmental. And they internalize the whole blessed thing. You are just ready to discuss or you made a comment about thing. They think that it is told against my guru or to my sampradaya. They can't accept it. So much of emotional investment in one's own belief system. And here also there are non-verifiable believers. Gurudev, ho gaya, Gurudev. Gurudev will make you moksha. And that Gurudev, what Gurudev talks, nobody understands. Therefore, he is Gurudev. Because unchi baat karta. He is talking very high. And the language Gurudev talks, Swami Dayanand. Anyway, I don't get into that. Some some little bit meditation and here and there psychological issues, and you think you are mukta. Because I meet all these religious guys in India. It's really Walmart. And I have this is the best. I think Swamiji has given me best gift because my Sakshi Bhava is developed by meeting such people. I have to be just witness and no expression I have to make. And they talk so senseless thing. And the fellows are so hyped in talking about as though they have gained the moksha. And they feel so gifted and blessed and almost telling me that you are loser, better come here. And because I remain little face in the cloud, they think I am very dumb and non-learned and all that. So they try to convince me. What do I see? The Tiksha, how much do I have? You should see that. You should travel with me sometimes. I have to maintain all the Tiksha. I have to maintain the respect for the Peetham. Whatever that is because of my Guru's samskara, He respected Acharya, so I have to respect and still I have to listen and go around meeting them again and again. Kinds of nowadays, little meditation they know, little yoga they know, some puja patti they do, and they think they are. See this Prajapita Brahma Kumars. I won't mind in naming them. You see, what is their belief? 3 times they declared that pralaya is coming. On such and such a day, the whole pralaya is to take place. 4 times, I think. And suddenly, just before a few days, they said, Goddess Parampita has postponed it. That Parampita Shiva is not Parampita Shiva, what you and I worship Shiva. They have their own Shiva. Al Kapola Kalpitaha. Imagine. Mental. They say there is a cycle of 5,000 years. That means what? After every 5,000 years, there is a pralaya and then it starts. So today, when I'm taking this class and all of you are attending, exactly 5,000 years ago, on this day, this time, you were listening and I was talking. If that is the case, there is a moksha. If that is the case. But they say cycle, where from did you get this 5,000 years? No Shastra Pramana. Thousands and thousands follow them. And they get some Murli every day. Murli, which Murli comes, I don't know. And whatever they heard writes, that whatever comes to their mind, they talk. And in this one paragraph Murli, there are 10 self-contradictory statements. Andhe naiva niyamana yathanta. Vayam dhiraha panditam manyamana. I never go to their platform. Because if I go there, at least publicly, I have to say good thing about them. And I couldn't find a single good thing except some seva chow chow. So I never go. Once some meeting, something was there and I needed that we have to romp in all sampradayas. So I went there, Abu, and they invited me for some special function, a chief guest. And then I talked to them, look, this is coming and we have to stand together globally. There was one bill coming about targeted and prevention of group and targeted violence bill in the India. It was very terrible bill. So when I presented that to number 2 in Abu, that lady on my face tells to his, "Ye kya bol raha hai?" It was after 10-15 minutes of my presentation, she insulted me on my face. उसको कुछ मालूम नहीं है अभी थोड़े समय में प्रलय होने वाला है What do I say to them? So much of close-mindedness. There are sampradayas, traditions, religious traditions. They are andhe niva niyamana yathanda. Another belief very popular in India that if you worship, Vimanam will come, special chartered plane will come. Vimanam means chartered plane with attendants will come to take you to Dhama, Bhagavad Dham, abode of Lord. There are 3, 4 Bhagwans who are worshipped in that. So the chartered plane will. Last year, here in Rajkot, in my district, some fellow claimed that on such and such a day, I am dying and Vimanam is to come. Doraji Bhasha, Gamdama. This Vimanam, this chartered plane is to come to take me, and all of you bhaktas will have darshan. Like, listening to that, you become dumb. Nothing you can say. What do we say? And people, his devotees, started gathering to that village. Advance booking, okay, I can see closely. So he declared that I will be sitting here in puja room and then moved to veranda and then moved to ground and moved outside the village. All preparations started making. So that platform so people can see Bhagavan Vimanam and I'll be boarding the Vimanam. And media after 15 days gave publicity and started countdown as though it is to come. Lakhs of people gathered and obviously no Vimanam came. And he did not die. This fellow as an excuse. He says Bhagavan has some important engagement in some other loka. So it has been postponed. Andhe naiva niyamana yathanda. Some goody thing to happen hereafter. There are people in West, even in America, I have come across news that people have committed mass suicide. That we will get liberated if we do this on this day. And then he says further, look at mantra number 9. Avidyayam bahudha vartamanaha vayam kritartha ityabhimanyanti balaha yat karmino na pravedayanti ragad tena turakshina lokaschavante. Same category, but little more description about these fellows. This one, first one was avidyayam antare vartamanaha. That was an so and the same thing he says avidyayam bahudha vartamana. Okay, bahudha avidyayam vartamana, existing or remaining in a varied way in ignorance. Okay, so they have, these are the not only steeped in ignorance, but they have varieties of opinions in it, multifold expression of ignorance caused confusion. I'll talk to you a little later. Then this says, Vayam kritarthaha iti abhimanyanti bala. They think that abhimanyanti, they think kritarthaha, we are fulfilled one. We are successful. And they think we are fulfilled, we are successful, and they are balaha, they are immature. Yat karmino na pravedayanti ragat. Yat karminaha na pravedayanti, that they do not know. Na pravedayanti, they do not know. What? Raga, due to attachment due to likes and dislikes. Who? Karminaha, those who are committed to various actions because of likes and dislikes, They don't know. What don't know? What happens to them? He says, Tena tura kshina lokas chavante. Tena, because of that ignorance, aturaha afflicted. They often they're afflicted in various ways, and kshina chavante, they fall. Kshina loka chavante. They fall from the lokas, various lokas. Kshina. Kshina means punya kshina sati. Lokat chavante. When the punya gets exhausted, they come back. You see, avidyayam bahudha vartamana. There is a fundamental problem when I say, you can elaborate it or put it in a little larger perspective, more so with reference to religious leaders. Two things are there. First of all, they do not know these three things. They don't know the nature of Ishvara. That Bhagavan, they don't know and put him in heaven or some other lokas. First, do not know their self, their own nature, what you are. Self you don't. And don't know the relationship between me, Ishvara, and the Jagat. Jiva Jagat Ishvara Swarupam Tatha Tat Sambandham. The nature of individual, the world, and Ishvara is not known, and the relationship is not known to them. Even the end of life. What is it that, as I said earlier, what is it that I want in life? That is also not clear about themselves, to them. And the means to achieve that end is also not clear. Person, generally, whenever a person starts or he or she turns to spirituality, that's the basis generally is what? This is the state of the mind. He or she feels uncomfortable, disenchanted with what he or she has and what he or she was pursuing before. There is not much clarity about why as to I am disenchanted. Exactly like you say, like you have fever, you know, no, I am not. Then in Saurashtra, in place here where I live, there is a beautiful Gujarati word, maja nathi. I am not at home today. I don't feel comfortable with myself. Maja nathi means then they say you have fever. I don't know. I don't have fever. Do you have headache? I said, no, I don't have headache. Do you have stomach problem? I said, I don't know. But there is no clarity about what exactly is causing the pain or discomfort. But that is a fact that I feel discomfort. There is no clarity about the cause. So the people are disenchanted with what they are doing and what they were thinking to do, but there is no clarity about it. That is the most gullible state. That person is looking for something out of the box, as they call it. That person is looking for something which he or she or his group or everybody is pursuing something other than what is commonly pursued. Then that fellow is gullible for yoga. That fellow is gullible for pranayama. That fellow is gullible for seva. That fellow is gullible for puja. That fellow is gullible for yatra. Something wants to do other than what he or she is doing or what others are doing. That is one thing, you know, this fellows, they're and the people who are, because that, and then that confusion about the nature of the God. And this is Mudatvam. Everybody thinks we know God. Every person, Swami used to say, the word God is the most abused word. Each individual has a different picture of the God, but nobody asks the God, hey, this is you. Even the atheist also has a picture of the God. You ask the atheist, "Okay, why are you atheist? I think you tell him, "Okay, you should believe in." No, why should I believe? No, 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 God is such a great person, blah, blah. Say something. No, 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 if there was God, he would have done this. That means his belief is there. If God is doing this, then I believe in God. He has his own picture. Not knowing all this, they become gullible to anything. Anything other than the known, other than something which he or she had pursued in the past, is something that he or she can easily hold on to that. So, different varieties of belief systems, varieties of theologies, Bahudha varieties, and what they call it in India, they misuse the word different sampradayas. It's not a right word. Exactly like this yoga, I, I was the one who initiated this World Yoga Day, International Day of Yoga. It was being hijacked, and I initiated the whole movement and see through the head. Even the Prime Minister, we talked and told him, and he did it well, much more than our expectation. Imagination by expectation. He declared it in the United Nations and then took it to such a height. Now, this, so, but then nobody knows, but then somehow, some few, 2, 3 international yoga conferences I was invited. One England and one US and another Portugal, and in India also 3, 4. And it was 2, 3 days conference. Then after I stopped going to any yoga conference, international yoga conference. All kinds of acrobatics come. They do all kinds of acrobatics. And they say, this is Shivanand Sampradaya Yoga. This is Sri Sri Sampradaya Yoga. This is Iyengar Sampradaya Yoga. Like that, some Westerner Sampradaya also is there. What is Sampradaya? That fellow does asana this way, you do this way. That is new Sampradaya. All of you should talk about Patanjali. Nobody talks about Patanjali. And yoga is limited to asana pranayama. They don't spell it also, pranayama. Asana pranayama. Yoga's ashtanga, 8 limbs. Out of the 8 limbs, 6 are purely mental, psychological. The foundation is yama niyama. Nobody talks about it. Ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, etc. Nobody talks. Aparigraha, nobody says. And the last, this 4 if you say that if you chant the 8 in order, that's all. They are not order, but still. Asana, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, then comes pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Nobody talks. And then this is new sampradaya. This is yoga sampradaya. These are all called varieties. Okay? This is this various variety. Ignorance is one, basic, but the expressions are varied. Like this Panchakoshas. But that I to take myself as body is one thing. But the expression of taking myself to be body is many. Men and women and American, African, and so Brahmana and this and that and black, all kinds of varieties. So similarly, steeped in varieties of ignorance, in confounded conclusions, notions about the nature of Ishvara, about the goal of life, about the means to achieve that life, is called Bahudha Vartama. They are there. We'll see this mantra tomorrow further. And after the class, I'll talk. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.